The Command Show is supported by Tablet Command, built by firefighters to deliver accountability, situational awareness, and clarity on every call. Take command with Tablet Command at tabletcommand.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Command Show. I'm Anthony Kastros, and my partner, Brian Brush, who's normally here with me on the show, is unfortunately unable to attend. He has family issues he's working on, all is well, but he's got to attend to his priority, which is family. Like we always talk about in this show, it's God, family, and then fire. So without further ado, though, I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Fire Chief Robby Bergerson from the Waco, Texas Fire Department. He's going to be our guest today. And he's got a lot to talk about, a lot to share. This man has been through the ringer professionally, has just done a lot of great things in his department, been a key member of making it grow. He's a new fire chief there, and he's accomplished what few can do, which is go up the ranks of the fire service in their fire department and then go all the way from the beginning to the fire chief's job. So we're going to share that journey with him. We're going to share a fire in which he was in command that's in the new textbook, Mastering Fireground Command, Calm the Chaos. He commanded a fire with rescues, and he'll talk about that. But without further ado, I do want to talk about our new sponsor, Tablet Command. Couldn't be more proud and thankful for my brothers and sisters at Tablet Command to come on board and sponsor the Command Show to make this show possible. Tablet Command is the premier incident command and tracking system in the world. It is the best there is. I love what they're doing. I was privileged to know and be friends with these folks who started this concept way back many years ago. It was born out of necessity. You need to learn their story. Unfortunately, they had a double fatal fire in their fire department, and that's what inspired them to be part of a solution. And that solution has taken the country by storm, and it's international now, and they're doing an amazing job. So thank you to my dear friends at Tablet Command and all the hard work they put into the fire service. So we always kick off our show with the Nash 5. And the Nash 5, as everyone knows, is inadequate risk assessment or poor size up, inadequate communications, accountability, command, and or SOGs are not following the SOGs. And I always want to start the show by saying that the Nash 5 is not just fatal fires. It is dysfunctional fires. It is fires where there's too much radio traffic. It's fires with near misses, close calls, injuries, heaven forbid missing a civilian victim. That is a Nash 5 fire. They happen all the time on a regular basis. We just don't even recognize that they're happening. These are the causal factors that lead to maydays, line of duty deaths, but also can be present on your fires every day and you don't even realize it. That's where the dysfunction happens, when you feel like a fire just didn't go as well as it could have, when there's too much radio traffic, when people say, I didn't really know what the plan was, when people say, I didn't know who my boss was. So we always want to kick that off, because that is the real nuts and bolts of why we do this show, to prevent the Nash 5 from happening. And Tablet Command has joined with us in that endeavor to keep the Nash 5 from happening on your fire. So without further ado, Chief Robby Bergerson, my dear friend, how are you this morning?
Great, Anthony. It's good to see you, and thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure, brother. And I say good morning, but everyone could be watching this show at midnight at the firehouse, or who God knows when. But so, Robby, you've been the chief of Waco, Texas for how long now?
Since June 17th, officially. I took over as the interim chief in February, around February 20th, and it's been going ever since.
So you basically, as of this taping, you've been the chief about 8 months. So you got that fresh chief smell going, milk on your lips, and doing great. I'm proud of you. How long have you been with Waco, Texas?
28 years here in Waco, a little over 32 overall in the fire service.
So like I mentioned at the top of the show, it's not common to have somebody who goes from the very beginning of an organization, entry-level recruit, all the way up to fire chief, 28 years. That's a real testament to you, your character, your hard work. I've seen a lot of firefighters who aspire to be fire chief, and unfortunately, a lot of organizations choose to go outside, which is their prerogative. I know your department went outside a few times, and now they went inside with you. And I think a lot of that, from what you told me, had to do with your relationships that you had built with the city and with labor. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. recently we've had a really good working relationship with labor, especially since taking over the interim role. They were able to see my way of, incorporating collaboration and decision making, and letting people be heard within the organization. Another factor I think that helped me in solidifying the position was also being very present out in the community and working with a lot of neighborhood groups and just being present. That's absolutely key in my opinion, and it continues. This week has been very tiring. A lot of nights getting home at 8:30 at night because, of course, it's Fire Prevention Week. We've got a lot going on, and a lot continuing even tomorrow on Saturday. There's no real days off sometimes, but that's okay. That's what I signed up for.
Well, that's what you signed up for, and that's because you have a servant's heart. I think that's why the troops supported you in your new role, because you have truly a servant's heart. And unfortunately, the old school style of leadership, especially at a fire chief, was, hey, it's all about me. I'm the chief. And then you all work for me. You all got to make me look good. But you are a servant leader. I've been privileged to call you a friend and colleague for many years. You've helped us teach Calm the Chaos around the country. And you always have a huge servant's heart for everybody around you. And I think that the city and everybody is blessed to have you, my brother. So thank you for being with us today in that busy schedule of yours. You mentioned, late nights, early mornings. That's what leadership is today, especially at the chief officer level. It's not 8 to 5. It's not put your feet up and drink coffee and have everyone come and bring you croissants and sushi. So with that, well, that's how some chiefs live, brother, but they can live that way for a little while, but they don't last long. They don't last long, as you know.
No, so, absolutely not.
And so let's talk about that structure fire you had, the apartment fire that's in Mastering Fireground Command, Calm the Chaos, the new textbook. It was an apartment fire in a garden style complex. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago now. It was, 8:30 in the morning or so. I was in the office. Of course, I was the executive deputy chief at the time, which is a staff position. And just tell you a little bit about our department. At the time, we had 12 engines, 3 trucks, and we have 2 battalions working and a few ARF vehicles at the airport. But we typically send 5 engines, 2 trucks, and 2 battalions to commercial structure fire or apartments, high life hazard. I always keep a radio on in the office, which might be unusual for some staff people, but I believe in still, even if it's on low, just kind of in the background, paying attention to what's going on across the city, anything that's strange. And I had heard another alarm go out, taking one of our battalion chiefs away. It was like a commercial dumpster compactor fire on the west side of town. And so, when we're down to 1 battalion chief, our staff chiefs will typically fill in that second chief role if another fire comes in. And that's exactly what happened. I heard an apartment fire get bumped out just maybe a mile away from headquarters here. They were reporting people trapped. And so I jumped on the call, arrived with the first engine 6. And we had, heavy smoke showing from the first floor, 2-story garden apartments. They had confirmed that 2 people were trapped in apartment C. They were getting multiple calls while we were en route. Upon arrival, engine 6 initiated fire attack at the task level. And, I established command and started directing incoming companies into search. So it's a high victim profile for us. In that situation, our second in engine does not lay a supply line. They'll go direct to the scene and dump tank water to the first engine. We found that, and this, that most of the fires are handled with tank water anyway. And so that, surge and fire attack were initiated simultaneously. And all of the incoming companies that were arriving, I think the next 3 we put into the search group as well. And I left engine 6 as just task level fire attack. They were doing a good job of protecting the rest of the building. And as it turns out, as I recall, they ended up confirming they had rescued 3 people, not 2 that were reported. which is right in line with the data that, firefighter rescue survey says that if it's a department fire, there's usually 3 people. But that presented a challenge for me because we knew about 2 people and then they rescued 3. And so I assigned a battalion chief to the medical group to when they were treating and assessing these people they rescued, and specifically asked, can you confirm that these were the people from apartment C that we were trying to get? I think there were 8 units in the building. So just trying to sort out, did we get the people we were actually looking for, or are they still trapped? As it turns out, 2 of them were from the original apartment that we thought, and then 1 was across the hallway who was also trapped. So it worked out. A good morning for us, 3 rescues. And
yeah, it's a good way to start the day.
Yeah, good way to start the day. And, just proud of the work that the men and women do. So.
Well, Waco, Texas is has a good reputation for aggressiveness. Yeah. You're an aggressive bunch, aren't you?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, we definitely are. It's something that our firefighters take pride in.
Yep.
Is pretty aggressive initiation of fire attack. I watch a lot of fire videos, and sometimes I struggle with screaming at the screen about how long it takes to stretch the first line.
Yes.
That's not the case here. It's a well-oiled machine. And unfortunately, or unfortunately, I mean, it's because of the reps that they get. We still run about 230 fires a year.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot.
It keeps us, fairly well practiced, but they do a good job and they train hard, and it shows on the fireground.
No doubt. I mean, we were privileged to meet. I was privileged to meet you in 2016. We came out to Waco to do Mashing Fireground Command Calm the Chaos. That's where we met, fell in love. How could I not love that face? And I always tell people he looks like Buddy Holly, but he does. He's got the Buddy Holly sweet face.
Well, I used to have those real dark glasses too.
Yeah. You got to get those back, man. Those were so cool. Those were really sweet. But anyway, we met back then, and I was taken back by how this department is aggressive. This is great. It's awesome. And they loved, what we were talking about, aggressive, being victim centric in everything we do. And including aggressive command, and you had mentioned, I love how for you as an instructor for years as an ops chief and the number 2, now the fire chief, you're still having that influence. You rattled off, hey, first company's initiated fire tech initiated search, which is the terminology we use in the class. And the next ones come up behind an assumed division or group supervisor positions. So that template that you used of splitting it between fire tech and rescue, that's what we teach in Calm the Chaos. And sounds like that's kind of where you were thinking before you even got there, maybe.
It is. And that's really written into our emergency operations manual for how we operate in a high victim profile. So I wasn't just thinking it, but the other, 7 companies responding were thinking it too. So everybody's on the same page, and it pays off for the citizens.
Well, that's the whole point. It's not about paying off for us, which is great, keeps us effective, efficient, and safe, but it pays off for the citizens, because you mentioned yelling at the screen, watching other fires, going, what the hell's freaking taking so long? How come it's taking forever to get the freaking water on the fire or get the search going? Or, did you hear that there's a victim? Those little things, time to task, is what saves lives. And, our motto is training saves seconds, seconds saves minutes, minutes save lives. It's on the back of all of our T-shirts. It's what we preach.
On the back of this cup that we got in Oklahoma City.
That's right. That's right. We're going to be going back there. We're going to be going back there in November to Midwest City.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about those classes here shortly. Well, that's awesome. I think what we really need in our chief officers, fire chiefs like yourself, is that street cred, to have been on the street, been a battalion chief, been a district chief, been an incident commander. That's what brings credibility to the fire chief's job, because people know that what it takes to run a fire, what it takes to make operations effective. And that's where you cut your teeth, and you're one of those that didn't forget where you came from. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, and also wanted you to write in the book, because you're not only an outstanding incident commander, you have a servant's heart that your troops are being blessed from. So let's talk a little bit more about how long did it take for you? Because I think when we met in 2016, were you the training chief at the time?
I was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had promoted in October of 2014, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I had been a captain previously 9 years.
Yeah. Nice. So there it is.
Yep.
You know, a lot of captains, because of today's attrition rate, right? They're captains for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe. And they promote, not because, you know, it's not their fault. It's just, we need bodies. There's a vacuum of leadership, right? But you were kind of coming up before that vacuum really kicked in. And so you were able to stay as a company officer for 9 years. You were the training chief for a few years. I think training chiefs make great ops chiefs, and great ops chiefs make great fire chiefs, quite honestly. And so let's talk about that era when you were the training chief. If I recall, you had a new fire chief at the time when we came in. And he was great. He had a servant's heart too. He was supportive of you. Let's talk about what it took to bring us there and to make change over the course of a good sized fire department. You know, that's how big is the city of Waco?
The city itself is about 100 square miles. The population is 148,000 or so. But we're kind of the hub in the area. So the daytime population swells to over 200,000. And again, so now we have 13 engines, 3 ladders, 3 ARF companies, and then 2 battalions. There's 56 firefighters on duty every day. The department size now is 238 because emergency management falls under us as well. But it's a good mix. You know, we have a downtown with high rises. We have a river that runs right through downtown. We cover a 12 square mile lake. We have 2 airports, the interstate, an industrial area. We have got good areas. We've got bad areas. You know, a major university, Baylor University's here, which always keeps Station 4 on their toes, at least 9 months of the year. But it's a good mix. It's not like just working in a strictly suburban residential department where everybody's gone in the daytime and then they come home at night. You know,
it sounds to me like people need to apply to work for Waco, Texas. Sounds like a great place to work. That sounds like heaven. You got a little bit of everything. Variety. You're big enough to have a lot of calls, but not so small, and big enough to still know each other, but small enough to still know each other and have that close-knit group. I worked for a department that size, and it was a great feeling, you know?
Yeah, no, it's really good. And then we, of course, have our specialized teams that respond regionally. So we have our technical rescue and dive team and hazmat teams that respond to a 6-county area, which is over 5,600 square miles. And if you, I always laugh when I say this, but that area is actually bigger than 3 different states.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's Texas.
Yeah. And then of course we're involved heavily with statewide responses and wildland and hurricanes and
I can't remember how many times I've called you and you said, "Oh, we're in the middle of a response. We're in the middle of putting a team out. We're in the middle of doing this, doing that. You know, getting the guys on the road."
Right. And because we're right in the middle of the state, a lot of times on those requests, we're somewhat the tip of the spear. You know, we just happen to be in the right place to get drawn out a lot of times. So a lot of good experience for our people and a lot of opportunities. And I think that's what keeps people applying. We're putting on a new group of 9 firefighters here in 2 weeks. And while I was interviewing them at the chief's interview, a lot of them came from other departments, almost every one of them. And it's interesting, like, why do you want to come here? And they're like, well, you know, everybody knows that that's where we want to end up. And, you know, I don't know if they were just telling me that or.
No, it's true. It's true. Like I said, having been in the culture from an outsider's perspective, it's okay to say that about yourself and wonder if you're being honest or you're just living delusional.
Yeah.
But coming from the outside, I felt it. I mean, the chief was grilling burgers for us during training. You know, we prayed and said grace, and everybody was fired up about the training. All the company officers were all in. Nobody was straggling. And you've taken it to the next level, Chief. And I believe it when they say they want to come there because that's the place to be. I mean, it's really, really the best of both. Because when you're so big that you're lost in the abyss of people. There's definitely benefits to being a big department. I was blessed to do that too. However, you can feel lost in the abyss. Too small, you drive each other crazy and maybe don't run as many calls. But if you're in that middle space, that's pretty great, especially with the variety you mentioned. So,
Yeah, I think it's good. Well, I was going to say too, I can't do it alone. I mean, my management team is awesome,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they've been very supportive. We've flipped our whole fleet since 2020.
Wow.
And just unbelievable the investment that our council and management has made in firefighters and building and rebuilding stations, and just it's been unbelievable the past few years, and it just keeps getting better.
Fantastic. Great to hear that. Great to hear that. So what do you think's been the biggest lesson, even though you were the number 2 for many years, you were part of the administration for a long, long time? What was the biggest like aha moment once you had the fire chief's job, the position, for those who are looking to do that job?
I don't know if it's a aha moment, but I was having a conversation yesterday, and just one thing that I've noticed, I talked about that being present earlier. Just the time commitment is so different from being the number 2 to the number 1.
Okay.
So the public expectation of, there's something going on every day. It seems like, whether it's during the day, after hours, on the weekends, and they like to see the fire chief there. And
Yep.
It's just a time commitment, but I'm happy to do it. I mean, I'm invested in the community. I think that's the advantage of having somebody from the inside.
Exactly. That's the key, is that firefighters don't want to have a chief who's passing through. I call them traveling chiefs, the gypsy chiefs who they hop from department to department. They're there just long enough for people to realize what they're really about, maybe a couple of years. And they go, why did we hire this person? And they bump out to another fire department that does the same thing. And they go to 2, 3, 4 departments.
Sure.
You got to look at that and go, why do these fire departments keep hiring these chiefs who've only been to the chief for 2 years at a time all over the place? History repeats itself.
Sure.
Gordon Graham said, past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. This is predictable.
Well, we've had our share of that with several chiefs in the past, and I actually think it was an advantage looking back. Maybe at the time it was a little frustrating, getting bypassed or whatever, but now I understand that, like we talk about, there's always a plan, a bigger plan, and it's really been a blessing, because I've actually worked very closely under so many different chiefs that a lot of people have never had that opportunity to do. They may have only been mentored by one chief, and that's what they know, essentially. So I've seen good, I've seen bad, I've seen mistakes, I've seen absolute awesome things done by different people, and you just keep putting all that stuff in your Rolodex, and it's made it really easy, I think. And I don't know if it's just because of coming up through the ranks and being internal and knowing all the processes. I think that helps as well. But having the opportunity to learn from so many other people has been a blessing.
Amen to that. I mean, you and I talked and we prayed over the years about these periods of these seasons you went through, and I'm really happy to hear that you look back on it now. And it's like we said, there's a plan, there's a timing. Sometimes we don't know the timing. We have a desire, plan, or a passion or a dream in our heart, and we're like, you know what? I really want to promote. I want to be the fire chief. I want to be a captain or lieutenant or battalion chief or whatever. And sometimes most of the time, the timing isn't our timing. Right? It's God's timing, and He knows what's best. And so, what I love about you is you stayed faithful. A lot of people would have bounced. A lot of people would have bailed, but you had the fortune of learning from so many different chiefs, like you said, and you were the common denominator and the constant at Waco, Texas, the whole time. And the troops had you to rely on, and that continuity. They knew you. They trusted you for many, many, many years. And these different chiefs would come and go and come and go. And like you said, you glean and learn a lot from them, and they would contribute good things to the department. But you learned over and over from all these different people. I really don't know of a fire chief right now who's had that benefit. Most of the time, like you said, they come up, very unifocal, straight up the palm tree, no branches, and that's the only thing they know. They become the fire chief. Other ones reach kind of what you had and leave. They put in for their own home chief for 1 or 2 times, and they're frustrated and they bail. You didn't do that, and so you had the benefit, and more importantly, the members have the benefit of you now. So thank you for being with us and sharing that story, because I think that could help a lot of people who are out there grinding it out.
What's cool now is one of the things that's been great about the last few months is I had the opportunity to have 2 of our 3 appointed deputy chief positions vacant, which is almost unheard of. And I was able to put 2 of my own people in that were my choices. And I know, because I know the organization, I know the people, I've been able to put people, not only you want to get them on the bus, obviously, right? But it's important to get them in the right seats on the bus. And
well said.
And it's, I chose people that complement each other and can help the team.
Right.
And now having the ability, and that's one of the things you asked, what's the aha moment? Maybe now I don't have to ask necessarily for permission. I look around and it's me,
right.
for the decision. But these younger chief officers and newer chief officers are coming to me for that advice, and I'm able to help, mentor them because of what I've learned over those past, 10 years of being a staff chief, working for these other chiefs.
That's great.
It's cool. And that's what it's about, is mentoring and passing along information.
Well, you hit the nail on the head right there, Chief. A lot of chiefs, a lot of firefighters, we're all task oriented. We're all task saturated. So we're just focusing on the job in front of us, right? I got to do this job to do. So for a fire chief, I'm sure you're saturated. Like you said, meetings, everyone wants to see the chief, budgets, God knows what, labor management stuff. But what I love about you is you always have that in the back of your mind. Who am I mentoring? Who am I growing up to come up behind me? Who am I grooming to take my job someday? Who am I helping to learn like I was helped? And that's that servant's heart. And that's what we need to be doing at this level in this season because of the mass attrition. And so, again, another thing that your troops are going to benefit from. I want to take some time, again, to acknowledge our sponsor, Tablet Command. Cannot say enough about them. Dear friends, Andy Boatso, Will Pigeon, and the team over there. Just an amazing bunch of folks. They're firefighters who have created an incredible platform for you as an incident commander. You can track your crews in real time. You can connect your staffing platform to this program. You can connect your AVL, your SOGs, your pre-plans, your dispatch. It automatically populates. You drag and drop. And it really works well with Mastering Fireground Command Calm the Chaos. That's why we partnered with them. So I want to thank them again. We've been fortunate to do a lot of classes together, you and I, Chief. And I know as you've risen up the ranks, it's been a little harder for you to get out to us. But here's what we did last week. The week before last, we got to go to Dixon Rural Fire Department in Illinois. That was a 2-day operations level class. And then followed by this bunch of nitwits, we had a train the trainer. So as you can see, they're wearing turnouts. So if anybody's interested in having the premier hands-on incident command train the trainer program at your fire department, please let me know. Reach out at info@trainfirefighters.com. We'd love to come to you. We've got some classes coming up. Next week, it's a closed class, but we're going to be at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Reading, Massachusetts, the week of October 20th. There's still spots left, October 2021, if you want to go to the operations level class. We have folks from departments all over the Eastern Seaboard. I think we have over 100 students, but there's still seats. And then next month, November 17 and 18, Midwest City, Brian Brush's fire department. I think we have 1 or 2 spots left. It's almost full. The other thing I want to mention is our dear friend, Frank Fiscuso. He and I are launching a new online course. We just shot the video for that this week. The production came through, and we're going to be putting that together to come out after the first year. There's a new series called Step Up and Master. And the first module is leadership and conflict resolution. That'll be coming. So come check out our stuff at trainfirefighters.com or ask me if you want to host a class or have any questions, at info@trainedfirefighters.com. Chief, you just mentioned that you have 9 folks in the queue for. Are they just getting out of the academy, or are they just going into the academy?
They're already pre-trained firefighter EMTs, so they again, most of them have already worked for other fire departments. So we hire pre-trained people, and we'll put them through a short orientation period to Waco, and then we push them out as extra firefighters on companies with field training officer companies, so that people get at least 2 months of mentoring before we throw them to the wolves.
The wolves, for sure.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to ask about before we start wrapping up here, because I know you got to get back to it, is the rags in the back pocket. We got to talk about the rags in the back pocket. That was so hilarious in 2016 when I came out, and I see like every third or fourth person had a rag in their back pocket, and then I hear us talking about, then they would all congeal together. All the guys with rags would talk in a group at breaks. I come to find out that those are the engineers, the drivers, and they would talk about, oh yeah, that's how you know I'm a driver. I got a rag in my back pocket, and yeah, go look behind the wheelman in every rig. The engineer, he or she, has a box of rags behind them in the rig, so that they have these rags at the ready. Can you explain that just for a second? This is hilarious, and I don't know if it's still happening, but I just thought it was a funny tradition.
You've explained it pretty accurately, especially at that time. It'd been something that had been going on for a long time in the department, but there's always a box of rags behind the driver's seat. And a lot of the engineers would tuck one in their pocket. And I was an engineer for, a couple of years too. Probably did the same thing. So,
well, what I found was the weird part, which I'm almost positive is not the case anymore, is they would say how, we don't turn out. The engineers didn't turn out. The drivers didn't turn out. We don't wear our gear. I said, why? We got to be ready to wipe down stuff out in front. Well, that's why we have these rags. We got to be ready to support everybody. I'm like, so if you mentioned 5 engines and 2 trucks on an apartment, so there's 7 drivers that aren't turning out back in the day. Not anymore.
Yeah, but it's not really like that now.
I hope not. It was funny.
No, the culture is a little. It's changed quite a bit, and even from when I started here in Waco, it was I don't want to say it was an old fire department, but there were a lot of very tenured people, and that's they were 55, 60 years old, still working on the fire trucks, and that's unusual today. We're a pretty young department now.
Yeah.
And they're all working out and eating good and just doing all the things that we probably didn't do when we started.
Right.
But they still have that aggressive attitude on the fireground, and they do such a good job. Really proud of them.
You should be. It's an awesome department. I just remember hearing that. I remember the fire chief at the time. He'd only been there for a few months, and he's in the back going, what is this tradition? And it was funny because they were really proud of that. And so even during the drills, I'm like, okay, guys, you guys need to get engaged. So I know you were part of changing that. But that's one of those funny, hey, we've always done it that way kind of things that you were part of changing. So it's just a funny story. I thought we'd share that one with everybody. But what's on the docket for Waco in the next couple of weeks, Chief? What's going on? You said Fire Prevention Week. What else is going on?
Yeah, we're doing a big smoke alarm installation drive tomorrow morning in South Waco, and then we've got our open house as well, one of our stations. Something I'm proud of, and we accepted a proclamation from the mayor the other night at the city council meeting for Fire Prevention Week, but I let them know that we hadn't had a fire death and this is just 3 days ago, 962 days.
Wow.
Which is over 2.5 years. And here, a city this size with as many fires as we run, that's amazing. And
that's a testament to the department and to everybody in it.
Yeah. And we've had several good rescues in that time period. So, it's not just prevention, it's operations too, and the way we function on the fire ground. And, I want to keep that going. 0 is the best number.
0 is the best number. Well, that's one of the things Brian talks about, and the gang over at Firefighter Rescue Survey. They've given us such amazing information, and the fire you described at the top of this show, you met all the benchmarks as far as timing, getting them out quickly. Those are the life and death scenarios. You mentioned having 3 victims. That's all data that we can predict now with over 4,000 rescues from Firefighter Rescue Survey, that every firefighter in America should know those numbers and act accordingly. So, well, I know you're busy. We'll get you back to the troops. I'm sure you got a lot going on. So thank you, Chief Robby Bergerson, Waco, Texas. Everybody listening, thanks for taking the time. Again, if you need to reach me, info@trainfirefighters.com. You can also go to the website, trainfirefighters.com, to find out more information. Thank you to Tablet Command, the incredible team there. Please, if you're watching this, you're interested in Incident Command, you care about Incident Command, you need to know about Tablet Command, and try and incorporate them when you can into your operations. God bless you. God bless the American Fire Service. And thank you, everybody, for watching. The Command Show is supported by Tablet Command, built by firefighters to deliver accountability, situational awareness, and clarity on every call. Take command with Tablet Command at